Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Petersen here, former presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. Did you guys miss me? My live streams haven't been updated as regularly lately because I've been on the road so much, but I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in tonight. As you can see, we are live on Facebook, and this is not a replay. If you're watching us at 7:25 p.m. on Monday, April the 10th, you're watching us live. Congratulations. Now, why have we switched from doing YouTube live streams to Facebook live streams? Well, we'll talk about that up front, as our main topic. But up front, I've got a few other things that I wanted to discuss with you as well. But of course, the main reason why we've done that, of course, is because of the YouTube demonetization scandal which has emerged. And the question is, why are you not doing it here? Well, why are you not doing it there or here? Because YouTube has begun demonetizing my videos, and I actually hadn't seen that until today. Today was the first day that I started seeing my YouTube videos being demonetized. Now, the good news is that I wasn't making a lot of money on YouTube anyway. I wasn't really focusing on it. I really wasn't trying to grow that platform very much because I didn't see a whole lot of benefit from it. Although recently I thought to myself, well, because Facebook doesn't offer advertising in their videos unless it's a live stream like this one right now, right? YouTube does. I said, okay, well, maybe it's good for me to go ahead and move away from YouTube completely. I'll still probably upload my videos over there, but I'll expect that they'll be demonetized because it appears as if they're doing it for political reasons. Not because it's controversial what you were saying, because I actually did shows where, for the last couple of days, where I didn't really say anything controversial. I was just mostly reporting on the foreign policy that had happened, implications of the attack in Syria, the airstrikes in Syria. But because of that, I thought to myself, well, it's probably better to just go ahead and stick with my main audience at Facebook, and here you guys are, and you're beautiful and lovely and warm and welcoming and inviting, and I'm so glad to see you. Tomorrow, I head to the University of Iowa. I'll be speaking to the Turning Point USA group at the University of Iowa, a really good group of kids. I'm very excited to come out and see them, so I'm very grateful to them for inviting me. Long drive, so I got to get up fairly early and head out there to Iowa City. So I hope that if you're in the area, you can come out and see me. And then this coming weekend, I'll be, this Saturday, I'll be at Carthage, Missouri, where I'll be talking at a gun show, the Liberty Tree Gun Show in Carthage, Missouri. So if you get a chance and you want to come out, there's some great deals that you guys can come out, and great, yeah. So if I wanted to make money on YouTube, I would probably just do hair and makeup tutorials, because as you can tell, my hair and makeup are fabulous, darling. Right, yeah. No, my hair is done, but I'm obviously not wearing any makeup. My skin just looks this good. But let's talk about what we really came here for, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about advertising and how it impacts government, and specifically the liberty movement. So I'll start with the main topic that I brought up, which the question is can taxation be replaced with advertising? And I think that the answer to that is undoubtedly yes, unquestionably yes. And before I go ahead and expound on that from the technical perspective, why don't we go ahead and let our good friend Ron Swanson explain it all to you, how government would work if we didn't use theft.
I could not be happier about this. I think the entire government should be privatized. Chuck E. Cheese could run the parks. Everything operated by tokens. Drop in a token, go on the swing set. Drop in another token, take a walk. Drop in a token, look at a duck.
Drop in a token, look at a duck. Is that not the perfect way to fund government? Much better than through theft, I'll tell you that much, guys. I'm coming back, don't worry. When you're the producer and the star of the show, sometimes it takes a little bit to get the technical stuff all together and perfect, but I'm here now. So yes, wouldn't that be great if you wanted to go to a public park, you just have Chuck E. Cheese run it. Drop in a token, sit on a park bench. Drop in a token, look at a duck. Wouldn't that be a great way to fund our public services? Then people could actually pay for the services that they use. But the question of advertising, I think, is one that's of utmost interest to libertarians, because it's not just a question of can we entirely replace it, because I don't know that you can necessarily replace all of the government spending that we have right now. But of course, if libertarians were in charge, then we wouldn't have so many government programs, so you wouldn't need as much money. You wouldn't need to extort people as much. But some people have said, hey, that this isn't a an issue that we think is even feasible. Well, it's ridiculous because not only is it feasible, but it actually does happen because, take a look at this. Boom. Welcome to Kansas City, where we have a beautiful streetcar, which is obviously publicly funded in many ways, and it's free to ride, free, quote unquote. But take a look. See the Sprint sign on the side there? Yeah, Sprint has chipped in for advertising there on the streetcar so that they can get the word out. And I don't think it's actually that ugly. I think it's actually kind of an attractive ad, right? Just a Sprint logo on the side of the metro. And lots of city buses do this. Lots of public transportation uses this. And when government is really in trouble, then they do frequently turn to advertising as a way to pay for government services, and it requires no theft. And that's another question for the liberty movement. Can advertising actually advance liberty, not just from a government perspective, but from a libertarian movement, which we'll talk in just a moment. But let me read this story to you, which I think is really good. It's written by Paul W. Taylor, and the magazine is called Governing Magazine, which the title I know will not make you happy, but I do think it's a pretty good article. This was written back in 2013, and it's called The Tricky Business of Commercial Advertising in Public Places. Public transit systems have accepted advertising for a long time, but it's not always without controversy. Advertising revenue often looks like free and easy money for cash-strapped public agencies eager to augment budgets. At its core, it's about two inextricably linked things: attracting attention to the buyer and generating revenue for the seller. But when things go wrong, it can also attract unwanted attention to the government agency that accepted the ads. True, like you wouldn't want a pro-Nazi, like a pro-Hitler advertisement on public sidewalks, or like you wouldn't want to have advertising for like a church, for example, because that would violate the Constitution in some ways. But continuing on, in New Hampshire, Ohio, and Washington State, persistent budget gaps have prompted legislative proposals to expand the selling of naming rights for the usual suspects, like sports facilities, for example, to include other public infrastructure and attractions, like highways, bridges, and rest areas. My roads, ladies and gentlemen, my roads can be funded without extortion and taxation. But don't tell people this, because they'll freak out. They just don't know what we would do if we didn't steal from people in order to build the roads. These bills come on the heels of a deal Virginia reached last year, that would have been 2012, with the Geico Insurance to sponsor safe phone zones at rest stops. The $2 million deal, $2 million a year deal, $2 million, that's a lot of money, will cover 1/10 of the state's annual operating costs for its 43 highway rest stops. Virginia is now working on a plan for selling naming rights for its bridges. We have grown accustomed to the brand names of insurance, telecommunications, logistics, and retail companies, plus a handful of banks and the odd pizza chain, emblazoned on public stadiums in all parts of the country. But what about the GoDaddy Expressway or the Hallmark Cards Airport? Yeah, you're liking this. I like it. I'm fine with it. Does it bother you? Do you really care what the name of your airport is? Does it have to be named Claire McCaskill Airport for us to get from one airport to another? Take King County Metro, for example. Missed a part here. Hold on. A number of governments have come to see ad revenue as important as still marginal funding source for operations of certain programs. Public transit systems have accepted it for a while, and their experiences are often cited as models for expanding advertising in and around other public facilities. Take King County Metro in Washington State, which sells about $5.5 million in ads on buses and stations each year. The transit system, which serves the greater Seattle region, is the 10th largest in the country, has an advertising policy that prohibits commercial messages about tobacco, alcohol, the sale of firearms, and X-rated or adult material. However, it did not account for controversial messages from other sources, such as nonprofit advocacy groups. Because of the oversight, the county ended up in court over its decision to quell an inflamed debate between pro-Palestinian and pro-Israeli groups by blocking ads from both organizations. Probably the best way to go. The controversy forced Metro to change its policy to explicitly prohibit public issue advertising expressing or advocating an opinion, position, or viewpoint on matters of public debate about economic, political, religious, or social issues. The new policy states that advertising not jeopardize security, safety, comfort, or convenience of operations, that it maintains a position of neutrality on controversial issues, and prevents harm resulting from demeaning, disparaging, or objectionable ads. Now, don't you wish the government would abide by that, right? If only the government would stop taking stands on political, religious, or social issues, right? Like, maybe we'd be better. Like people talk about neutrality when it comes to government. Well, there you go. As soon as advertising is introduced into the picture, then all of a sudden government cares about neutrality. But when you look at bombing Syria, all of a sudden we're taking sides, right? Okay, false equivalence, neocons. Calm down, it's a joke. Metro also set up a compliance review process that gives officials final authority on all ads, allowing the agency to take one down at a time. Under the new policy, Metro had to reject a public health campaign from the county's own health department in which thought balloons above an 11-year-old's head asked why stores are full of tobacco and sugary drinks instead of fruit and milk. Advocating what stores should stock proved too provocative when the ads were vetted. The message to other governments and all this seems clear. If you need ad revenue, go in with a clear business plan and acceptance policy. Advertising may begin to feel a lot like marrying for money. You will earn every dime. Yeah, very good. But think about that. I mean, isn't that a wonderful way for us to consider supplementing city government budgets or even federal government budgets, for example, with us without having to increase taxes? Maybe that's one thing that the libertarian movement really needs to get on, is to consider expanding public advertising in a manner that is consistent with our principles and one that doesn't require taxation. I mean, that's a fantastic way for us to look. That's one way that we can look at when people are like, who will build the roads? Right? Now, they can't laugh at you because you can just take this article from Governing Magazine and you can share it with them and say, hey, look, people who believe like you, who are for big government or who are statists, for example, I wouldn't call them that if you're trying to convince them that, right? But the people who are like you, this actually exists. It happens all the time. I think it's a way for us to raise money for public revenue, public financing for public affairs that doesn't require extortion. So do you guys like that? I mean, that's pretty cool. Maybe we really need to get on that. Maybe the libertarian movement needs to speak out about this particular issue more, which leads me to the final question that I wanted to talk about, which is the question of, is taxation good for liberty? Well, in that sense, I think it absolutely is, because one, you're not taking money from people, right? You're just taking tax dollars from outside groups and you're putting them in the public coffers, and it doesn't require taxation. But then it reminded me of a conversation that I had with a good friend of mine a few years ago, a woman by the name of Ovens O'Brien. And if you're not familiar with Ovens O'Brien, she's a longtime libertarian activist, very intelligent woman. I just saw her in Los Angeles this last week. Hi, Ovens. And she actually came up with this concept that I wanted to share with you all because I thought it was important for us. Frequently, whenever libertarian activists, people like myself, have a project, let's say you're going to campaign, let's say you're running for office for whatever reason, or let's say that you're going to you're going to have a protest or something like that. Most of the time, what libertarians will do is they'll get online, they'll start up a GoFundMe, and then they'll go out and they'll raise money from libertarian activists to go out and do libertarian activism. But one of the things like people will frequently do is they'll complain about advertisements, for example, on the Libertarian Republic, or they'll complain about advertisements in my audio podcast, or they just say there's just too many ads on the Libertarian Republic. Well, yes, there are some times that we do have issues with ads, but the reason why it's a good thing for libertarian sites to run on ads is actually the reason why Jeffrey Tucker's website, liberty.me, has struggled so much, and why the Libertarian Republic has been able to soldier on and weather the storm, and when so many other libertarian websites have not succeeded. So consider this. Actually, Jeffrey Tucker came up to me, who's a good friend of mine who I really adore. He came up to me a couple years ago and said, Austin, I want your advice. I'm starting liberty.me. How do you think I should monetize this? And he's like, I'm thinking about doing a subscription service, and it will be no ads, and we just have subscriptions. And I said, that's a bad idea. And the reason why is because it's very hard to get libertarians to fork over their money to go out and do something or to run a website when there are already so many other websites that are free. I said, if you have advertising, then yeah, I think that your website will be more successful. And he chose not to go that way. And we all know Liberty.me has not been like the biggest, most huge success ever, right? Like, no offense to Jeffrey, again, like I'm not trying to talk trash or anything like that. I think Liberty.me is a good website, but it's not as big as the Libertarian Republic. And there are sites that are much bigger than the Libertarian Republic, right? Like, I'm not trying to bolster myself up. Like, Reason Magazine is like 5 times bigger, right? There's so many bigger fish than I am, right? The Blaze, huge. Like, you know, I'm sort of a small fish in a big pond online right now. Even with my Facebook page, the people who are watching me right now on this live stream, you know, there's 187 max viewers, people that are watching, and I'm not the biggest deal in the world. I recognize that. But the reason why I've been able to survive and be successful and you know, not be like Tommy Lahren and have 4 million people on Facebook is because of advertising. And one of the things that Ovens explained to me was that the reason why advertising is good for the liberty movement is because it takes money from outside the liberty movement and it brings it in. See, rather than making it so that we are all funding one another for things, which, you know, we do have to do from time to time, but rather than taking money from each other to do libertarian activism, I'm for the Libertarian Republic and Liberty Viral and like these Facebook live streams, for example, I'm not taking money from the libertarian movement. I'm taking money from outside the libertarian movement and bringing it in. Whoa, wind blew the door open. I'm taking money from outside the movement and I'm bringing it in. And so that's a good thing. So if more libertarians who have websites were using advertising, that means that they're not doing things like, you know, begging for donations, which leads me to the final topic, which is the big question of the YouTube demonetization scandal. Now, long story short, what happened was that the Wall Street Journal wrote a story that showed that there were advertisers that were appearing on racist ads, that were appearing on racist videos on YouTube. So I think the advertisers started pulling out like just millions of dollars worth of advertising from YouTube. And I think that it was they are expected to lose, projected around $750 million this year alone, almost $1 billion in revenue. So people are getting upset at YouTube and they're starting to demonetize videos. One, because when you shrink the pool of advertising, then there's not enough ads to go around, which means that for the ads that do go around, they get lower rates, right? If you've got a lot of ads and plenty to go around, then enough people can get ads and you can get marginally better rates. But they are starting to go around. They're cracking down on ads on videos that they think might not be advertising friendly. Now you watch my shows, right? Like for the 100 and some odd people who are watching my videos right now. Let's see. There's all 121 of you guys. Well, for you guys, I mean, you're like my hardcore fan base, right? So you don't mind watching ads, right? So because of what you're doing right now, this voluntary transaction, I don't have to force you to do anything. You guys can simply sit here, and if you like my content, you can watch it. If not, you can turn it off and go watch puppy videos or cat videos or something like that. And when this is over, you can go watch Tucker Carlson on Fox News or something like that. And the issue, however, is I mean, you guys see my videos. I know that there are some things that I say that I'm controversial, but what advertiser would really have a problem sponsoring a show like this? And it bothered me because I knew that that there wasn't anything really that controversial in the Syria videos that I've been doing. And the fact that YouTube demonetized them simply because they're about current foreign policy, right? I'm not like swearing and using bad words all the time. I may use like one every once in a while, but you can always get away with that with advertisers. Like it's not like the Disney Channel or something like that where, you know, Disney won't work with you if you say one bad word once in your entire life. It's like most advertisers are pretty understanding about that. But the fact that YouTube started demonetizing my videos because of legitimate free speech bothers me. That's their own platform. They have every right to do it. And quite frankly, I wasn't making nothing more than like $100 a month off of YouTube anyway, because I wasn't really trying to grow it. And so it's not a lot of skin off my nose for me to move from doing YouTube videos to now doing Facebook. But I do think it does have a chilling effect. Now, there are some conspiracy theories out there, and I don't usually like to entertain conspiracy theories. But one of the conspiracy theories is that this is a play by big media to try and stop independent voices from being able to support themselves because they're in direct competition with magazines like or newspapers like the Wall Street Journal and magazines like Newsweek and Time and all of that. Because when you're watching me right now, you're not watching Fox, you're not watching CNN or MSNBC, right? Media is a zero-sum game in a lot of ways. It's not like the economy in other ways, right? Media, if you're watching me, then you're not watching someone else. If you're on the Libertarian Republic, you're not on CNN.com. So you can understand why the big media institutions would have a vested interest in trying to get YouTube to demonetize all of these videos, because they could do things like try and drive people like me out of business. I mean, Alex Jones, say whatever you want about him, he's built a multi-million-dollar empire, and good for him on that. But obviously, you don't care for his viewpoints or politics. But I mean, that's the kind of independence that, I mean, any American would love to have. I mean, wouldn't you love to have my job? You know, I'm not like mega rich or anything, but I make a decent living and I have a few employees. And that's good enough for me. And I love it because, yeah, I could make so much more money in like real estate or going to work for some think tank, make 6 figures, no problem. You know, not have to worry about paying a self-employment tax, not have to worry about all that stuff, and advertisers leaving and things like that. But the independence of this for me is really where the power is, because I'm free. And as a libertarian, I love freedom, right? And I love my own freedom, and I love being able to be my own boss. And so it bothered me when YouTube did that. So I decided to go ahead and come over here to Facebook, which has been much better for us. And it looks like not only is Facebook going to start monetizing the live streams like what you're watching right now, but it looks like Facebook is going to start monetizing all of our videos, which would be really good. Now, I know people don't like ads in many ways, and liberals really tend to hate ads. But I think, you know, I come from the Ron Swanson school on this. I really think advertising is a good thing. I think it's good for government, and I think it's good for liberty. I think it's good for libertarians, and we need to start thinking about more ways, not only to make money from advertising ourselves, but to advertise ourselves. And that's all I have to say about that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into the Freedom Report live streams. Did you miss me? I love these things. You guys are so much fun, and it's always fun on the replay to see what people have to say. You know what I would really love? I would really love some feedback from you guys, some comments. What would you like to see more? Would you like to have more elements, more videos playing in the show? Would you like to see a guest come in and sit down here next to me? Another cool libertarian. What would you like to see? Do you have any updates or suggestions? I'd love to hear from you. Maybe you'd like to have me come and speak on your college campus. Maybe you'd like to have me come and address your church group. Maybe you'd like to have me come and talk to your family. Maybe I do kids parties. No, I'm just kidding. But I'd love to get your feedback. The best way to do that is, you're on Facebook, send me a message to my personal Facebook page. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at AP for Liberty. That's AP, the number 4, Liberty. Follow me on Twitter. Sometimes I drop bombs on Twitter, but not the kind that blow up, but the actual metaphorical bombs, right? Not the actual bombs. But I'm really grateful for you guys for all being super fans and for watching me, for all of your support over the years, supporting the libertarianrepublic.com and libertyviral.com. You guys are wonderful. You have a great night.